Welcome to the Road is Dead podcast. I'm your host, Rob Curtis, joined in the studio by everybody today. We have
Leah.
Tim is actually in the building.
There you go.
Could be AI.
Oh no,
No, that's real.
I'm
He's
real.
He's real.
I'm real. Just wait, they'll know by the way how I talk. AI is smart. I'm not as smart as AI.
I was gonna
AI
go
is not
with-
very smart.
I was going to go with AI doesn't swear as much or something. I don't know.
That's probably true too.
You don't really swear. I mean, you swear, but I think you swear the appropriate amount if that qualifies. In other words, it's like it's used for emphasis in certain scenarios.
I'm telling you, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking dumb. Descriptive terms. Descriptive cursing. Is that a thing?
So that's your favorite word?
Fuck?
Word? Yeah.
Oh, I think it's everybody's favorite word.
I don't know. So that's yours. What's yours?
Swear word?
Yeah.
Fuck.
It just hammers the point home.
Yes.
Like shit is
It's-
cool, but shit is like
Yeah.
like a elementary school curse word.
Well, see, I have a preference for shit because it was my mother's favorite swear word. So, like, I just, in my head, when I want to think of it, this is one of those things that's kind of like, So if you haven't gone through it, the process of mourning, you slowly lose pictures, images in your head and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it becomes harder and harder and harder to remember people's voices. I mean, the second you hear them, if there's a recorded version, it's instantly back, But with my mom's, it's kind of that way. I slowly forget. If I want to remember what her voice sounded like, I just remember her. There's one time she was opening the dishwasher and something went wrong. And she opened the dishwasher, pulled out one of the trays and went, well, shit. And I can instantly, still in my head, hear her saying that. So that's kind of.
And I can actually picture that. Having met your mom, I
Yeah.
can totally picture that.
She just
Well,
went, well,
That's
shit.
probably that generation though. That was probably their favorite curse word.
I could see that. So anyway, now that we got that covered, why don't you email us? Let us know what your favorite curse word is. Go ahead and send the email to roadisdead@gmail.com. All one word, roadisdead@gmail.com. Just doing that because we don't actually get a lot of emails. So I did get one, but it wasn't there. It was in a different profile. Did you read it?
What was it about?
Yeah, it was in our Help Scout
Yeah.
thing. It was like they were interested in hearing Mike's story on something.
Yeah,
I
about
can't-
the NPR or the This American Life episode.
Yeah.
We do
So-
need to get Mike on to talk about that.
Yeah.
I thought we did talk about it
Here,
in one of the episodes.
allow me. Fuck, dude. I don't know, dude. I don't fucking watch that shit. I don't remember. It was so long ago. Fuck, dude. Fuck. I gotta stop cursing. Fuck. Mike, if you're listening, I love you and I miss you, and I
That
hope
is
you
from
are.
a place of
I
love.
hope you are well.
That was good, Tim.
I did want to get. I
I mean,
want to get.
am I wrong?
No,
No,
not
no, 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 no.
I'm
necessarily.
not that far off.
Yeah.
Maybe not that many curse words.
Every now and then they'll be like, "I gotta get back on the podcast." Yeah, you gotta get back on the podcast.
Oh my God, Mike's adorable. We missed you, Mike. Come
yes,
back.
yes, we do.
So, especially, I kind of wanted to get him on to talk about Perry Roubaix, but that didn't.
You want me
happen
to,
as
you
well.
want me to go there?
Is this?
I don't know, man. I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
remember.
Exactly.
Is,
I mean,
is this,
it's hard. It's fucking hard. It's
Yeah.
just fucking hard.
Is this the tale of the two Roubaix, or is Roubaix? Is it
Roubaix.
Roubaix?
Ooh,
What's the plural of Roubaix?
Of Roubaix,
Roubaix?
it would be Roubaix.
Roubaix.
is it Roubaix or Rubix's?
Because Roubaix is a formal name, so a city name. So it would be Roubaix.
So there's the Roubaix that us dipshits did last weekend
Yeah,
in
which
Michigan,
is
and
Barry.
then there's the real Roubaix that's way over there across the ocean.
There's no Roubaix in America anywhere.
I will say that was during that.
It's a marketing tool.
Yeah, it was during that period of time when everyone called themselves Roubaix.
Okay, this is probably before
Yeah.
your time, but do you remember? Did you ever do the Hillsborough?
Hillsborough, yes.
I heard of it.
I did Hillsborough
We've talked
Roubaix
about that.
multiple times. Enough that, to be honest with you, if I went down and rode that course today, I would get like bad flashbacks of, oh shit, I need to be on the left-hand side here because the wind's going to change after this corner and I don't want to get guttered. That race, that was tough back then. And it was tough for a reason that most people don't get. So like the hill at the end, sure, whatever. Having to do multiple laps, whatever. It was tough because it was always 400 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
All of our fields were so full, and you had to ride. I mean, the yellow line rule was in effect the whole time,
Yeah,
and you had
so
a moto
narrow.
ref behind you.
Right.
So you could not move up in that race unless you were already up in the spots where you could kind of move up.
Unless you did the thing that I've done more than once on that race, which is go
You
up the
push your-
gravel on the outside.
Yeah, I've seen people do that
Because
too.
you just kind of be like, all right, that's nice smooth gravel. Screw it, go for it.
I think that would be more a thing now. It wasn't as much of a thing back then because the general, I'll call it Peloton. It's not a Peloton. The group that we were riding with and racing with, most racers back then didn't have as much experience riding a road bike off road. Right now, Rich Smott is yelling at his whatever podcast listening device, going, bullshit. We rode gravel all the time. We just called it roads. Okay, I get it. Yes, but at least at my level where I was at in the Cat 4s, people didn't have a ton of experience riding gravel, because when we had around then was when Leland came out, and Leland was such a novel thing because there was that much gravel in every lap on it. And, you had to upsize your tires up to 25s in order to ride that race, I remember that being the big.
I did it on my cyclocross bike one year on like file treads, and it was a bad decision because I was so slow on the pavement that, I mean, it was wonderful
That
on the
was
gravel,
a fast
but
race, man.
yeah, it just
We do
killed
need to
me.
bring that one back. I would love to see that one come back, but it would take a lot of work. So somebody step up and help us. Anyway, talking about Hillsborough Roubaix, though, getting in those situations, you could not move up. But I think now more people would jump to the gravel and run up the side, like what you're saying.
Mhm.
I can see that. I know people did do stuff like that, but usually by the end of the first lap, everything would blow up. Once you got into town and you hit those hills, if you had groups still together, they just blew up.
Yeah.
I know I fell off the pace every time we hit those hills, so I'm assuming that's how everybody else's race went. That's how all I could see in my race.
I won a BRiX there.
Nice.
It was like third place.
That was my first podium,
Cat 4.
but I was
Cat
standing in
4.
for others.
The lowest that they went for women was Cat 4 back then.
Yep. Yeah. Didn't have Cat 5 until, 2016, 17, 18?
I don't remember when.
It wasn't that long ago. But anyway, Hillsborough Roubaix, great race. I love that race. But yeah, I remember that being one of the first Roubaix that I can remember. And then it seemed like when gravel started to kind of exist, everything was called Roubaix. I don't know. There were a lot of spring classic road races that called themselves Roubaix, something Roubaix. But I don't know where BRiX got its name. All I know is that is by far.
Barry is the county it's in.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why they went, oh, let's call it BRiX,
As opposed to
Barry Gravel, excellent,
Yeah.
Well, again, it's a marketing tool. It's catchy.
And yeah, I mean, I know I think still is the biggest
Well,
gravel race.
Barry
in
rhymes
terms
with
of
Perry.
size.
Yeah.
Is it all? I mean, it's also been around for a really long
15
time.
years.
15 years. I was going to say it was like 12 or more.
15
yeah,
years.
15
They
years,
had
I believe
They had a nice social media post that said, if you see anyone wearing this shirt, and it was a gentleman holding it, it means they did all 15.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's insane.
What is actually even very interesting too is that the 36-mile race is kind of like the showcase race there, because it's got at least 2 times the amount of people in it as the 62.
Then the 62? I would think that there was more in the 62.
A lot more than 62, more than double, I think.
Yeah, but I think for most it's the doable distance.
True.
It's
It's
the
also
doable
complete.
distance.
It's completable, so there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of
Yeah.
completing
Yes.
in that race.
Yeah, we can talk about it more, but I mean, for me, I like it because I can race it.
That's what I like about it. I've always been on the fence, because I've already done 2 gravel races that were the 62 distance, and so I know I can do it. But as I get closer to my road racing season, I like the idea of now taking all this kind of base fitness and put it to
punching.
I can almost feel a little of my crit brain having to engage on the 36-mile race, and I really like
Got that little tweaker scratch.
Yeah.
Crits.
Well, we'll have you do your recap first, but I don't know if we need to do any lead into it. I know we talked a little bit last week about the conditions out there, and at the time the conditions sucked.
Well, on that day that we recorded last week, they sucked, and
Yeah.
they progressively got better. Like when I went the next day, Friday, and did the last 20 miles, and it was completely different. It was dry. There was still a little bit of mud here or there. Nothing like the prior day. But what I noticed on the back half of the course compared to the front half of the course was it was extremely bumpy.
Yeah, it seemed really bumpy
Extremely
this year.
bumpy.
The potholes, the
Yeah.
wash, and there
there
wasn't
were
a
a lot
whole
of chuckles,
lot.
yeah.
Most of the gravel wasn't really even on there. It was mostly hard packed sand on a lot of it.
Yeah, and then come race day, it was golden.
I wonder how many people freaked out after the podcast last week from your report and switched out to bigger tires.
I would like to think that people have their own brain and
don't listen to Tim.
Really, no. I mean, when it makes sense. I mean, we were still 2 days out from the event.
Right.
I was just telling you what I experienced, and I didn't really, and this is just based off of what I was reading on the weather. I didn't really see too much wind or sunshine when we recorded last week. But then the sun and the wind came on Friday, and then it magically dried everything out.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the beginning through the Three Sisters and the first probably 15 or 20 miles where I experienced a lot of mud, that was bone dry.
Yeah.
Bone dry, like night and day difference.
Yeah.
Night and day difference. So, I mean, I think it would have, if it had stayed Thursday's conditions for the event, lot of, a vast majority of people would have had a very different day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I thought that the weather and the conditions were pretty much ideal.
Perfect.
It was going to be a fast day for a lot of people.
I actually wished it was like it was 2 or 3 years ago when it was like 80.
I
was ready for
it
3
hot.
years ago. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, I like it hot. It was definitely warmer than last year. Last year was a little chilly. This year it was pretty comfortable. I had a hard time figuring out what to wear this year, but ended up going with a good choice.
It was it was cold this year, and it would have been worse if the sun wasn't out. But the sun was out, and it kind of negated 90% of that.
Yeah. Plus, I knew I was going to be going a lot harder, and it was going to be short because I was only going to be out there 2 hours.
Yep.
So it was like, all right, I don't need to dress as warmly.
Yeah, I did a lot of. It's only 2 hours. I can make it with this.
Only thing I said was, I'm not wearing leg warmers. I am not wearing leg warmers.
Oh, I did.
I
wore leg warmers. I was happy I did.
I did wear knee warmers. I was like, that was kind of my comfort. And I hate wearing my knee warmers because they give me massive sausage thigh. But I didn't want to wear my tights because I'm like, they're going to be too heavy. In my leg warmers because I just didn't think I needed full legs. Yes, sir.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but you do realize it's not the leg warmers giving you sausage thigh, right?
Damn.
Are you calling my
I'm not saying. Listen,
like
I'm not
squishy?
saying. I'm not saying sausage thigh is a bad thing in general. I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
I don't know. I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, you need to cut that off.
All right.
No,
okay. We all know women have more squish on their thighs naturally. So when you put leg warmers or knee warmers on, it's
you're not the only one that's complaining about it.
It's uncomfortable. Not to mention we don't like the way it looks.
I know Julie, my wife, complains about it whenever she's got to put any of those. She won't wear them. And then myself now, leg warmers and knee warmers, I'm getting that with age. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I understand.
You getting girl thighs? Is that
well,
what you're saying?
I am definitely not nearly as old as you. But as I get closer, that's when I'm starting to notice for myself.
So this is an age thing?
I don't know.
Oh, my God. Dig that hole there, dude.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, I just realized I looked at the screen. My face is really red, and I don't think it's all sunburned. So, my apologies. Anyway, everybody already knows I'm an asshole.
No, you're the whole ass.
Yeah, true. We rev each other all the time like this, so, don't want to say that it's acceptable, but if she ever said, "Hey, fuck you," then I would get the hint.
Yeah. All right.
Moving on. So weather was interesting. Good conditions.
Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's always cool getting into town there. I know it's a large event, but I always forget how large because that was a lot of people. I mean, we take over that town.
Oh yeah.
The second it starts happening. And I'm very glad we don't get too much flack from the locals. There's definitely a few standouts that have issues.
And I think we were aware of a couple of those this year, and I think that's I don't know, maybe they're always out there, but this is the first time I've ever actually seen and heard about issues with locals.
We had a vehicle on at one point that did a lot of aggressive honking and speeding by us, but that was one for the whole, which isn't bad. Of course, that's one out of the 5 cars we saw the whole day. You would think with the people around there, it's been going on for 15 years. You just kind of go, all right, I guess I'm going to go let's go take a little vacation or day trip somewhere else, for this weekend. If it really bugs you, or you just kind of stay in and hang out for the day, or, you go to the end of your driveway and bring a cooler and invite some friends over and
there's
hang
a lot
out and
of
watch
that.
the race.
And there is quite a bit of that. Yeah.
I got a lot of cheers from a lot of kids along the route, which was very nice.
Yep.
So you get the mix, and I'm not saying they're doing anything right and or wrong. It seems to me like they're doing a lot right, in my opinion, for that area.
Yeah.
But there's, no matter what you do, there's always going to be a couple people that are just like, not in my backyard, NIMBYs or whatever.
No, everyone I came across, whether it was race day or prior, was very courteous, at least heading in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for like the second day I pre-rode, there's you come towards the end right before you reconnect with the pavement and go towards the finish line with like 3 miles to go, and you're climbing those last little set of hills, and there's one little down, up, and it's a kind of a blind corner that when you're riding it, you turn left and opposite traffic's coming right. This dude was in with his buddy and just like ripping in an old beat up Toyota Tercel, and I had just moved off the middle line to the right side of the road, and he came just screaming around the corner, and he saw me and he was like, got on the brakes real hard. I was like, this could have been bad.
That's when you do the whole, oh shit, look at each other and then kind of wave and go on.
Yeah.
But
for the most part, it's the community embraces it for sure.
The one, and I'll just tip on it only because it's made the rounds, but we have the one video of what looks to be, and it's up to interpretation, but it looks to be a local, in essence, cutting down a sapling, and as the riders come by, and falls into a rider and takes him out. And it, from the outside and from 5 seconds of looking at it, it looks pretty intentional. As for whether or not it is, who knows?
He's got the chainsaw and
he was literally sitting there with the chainsaw and he was like looking back.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and then as they got close, he hit it, and then it dropped it right on the rider.
What a dick.
But that's making its round on Reddit if you guys want to go look for that. I don't know if I've got the link. I'm sure I have the link somewhere, but what's interesting about that is right after it takes out the rider and everybody starts yelling, there's a rider that comes into frame on the video, and that's Stephen Farr from our team. So he was right there for it. He had some things to say about it, but he kind of said, anybody they got the impression and feeling, the riders that were there got the impression and feeling that it was intentional. And they all decided kind of intuitively that if that was the case, this guy's already kind of unhinged, not to stop and try to confront him, just to keep riding and get out of there. So, and it looks like that's what they did. Nice. So if you want to join the debate on that one or get involved in it, go ahead and check out the theme on Reddit. If I can find the link, maybe I'll put it in the show notes on YouTube. But who knows? I'm not exactly the best at following up with that kind of shit. So that was that, but great event. I don't want to, that's a very one-off weird experience, but great event. Leading up to the day, we said it's great weather. Everything's all good.
Yep.
We took over the town. We took over.
The vibe is always high.
The restaurant the night before, brewery, whatever the hell it was.
Everything was filled up and long waiting and stuff, but just.
You were really happy about waiting.
Oh, I didn't mind waiting. I knew. It's the situation, right? You don't get mad at anything. It's a small town, right? And but it's you have to have a little bit of patience when you got that many people coming into such a small town. No, the restaurants there they seemed very prepared.
Yeah.
The food's good. They
They were still fast once we sat down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they know by now. They staff up, they bring in extra. So I really hope it's worth it.
Turnover is the key to income.
I really hope it's worth it for them, that they make a good chunk of change on this weekend. That's what we all want.
Well, if you're doing it for 15 years, it's definitely good for them, for that little community. And it's nice to see that the community and the police and everybody is on board with it and support it, and the residents come out and cheer. It's totally cool. If you've never done it before, put it on your calendar.
Yeah, for as many years as I've said poo-poo to gravel events and stuff like that, and I only started doing this 4 years ago. Yeah, I've done it 3 times. I started 4 years ago. I skipped the year after the one I did because it was so cold the first time I did it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too. I mean, if it's really cold, it's kind of a bummer, because a lot of the fun part of it is hanging out after the race. And when it's cold, you don't want to do that. Or if it was like really wet and sloppy, you want to leave. So we've been lucky, I think, these last couple of years.
Regardless of the weather, I bolt anyway.
Yeah, you had to stick around. You had to get your podium. So, yeah.
You got to stick around for podiums. But
I
don't want to jump the gun, but, we had to sit around for more than one podium. Who wants to go first? Do the race recap. Not me.
Why don't you go first?
Everybody is looking at you, me, what?
Go ahead and go, Leah.
Okay.
Oh, that means Rob's going to be super long-winded.
No.
Fuck.
Well, I did the 36 mile, which is what I've always done, and I had a really good race. I lined up in wave 2, and I did all of the things that I had goals in my head about not blowing myself up on the Three Sisters. I had ridden up them the day before. Thank you, Rob, for suggesting that, because we weren't originally going to do that. And I felt really good on the climbs. So that kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. But I know
that's why
I have to be willing to stay within myself at the start, because you get people that go super fast at the start, and it's really easy to just feel this frantic need to stay with the front of the group. It's like, I don't need to stay with the front of the group. I need to stay within myself and be smart and, use the pack and the wheels around me. There was actually a crash kind of in front of me after we made the first left-hand turn, still on the pavement. And I was glad that I missed that. I had to lock it up and sort of skid, a little drift. But the rest of the race went really well. I tried to make smart decisions and latch on to groups that I could stay with, that looked like they were moving at a good pace. And I motored on if I felt like I was strong enough to motor on. I didn't just sit there and go slow. And I did front load a little bit, and I paid for it a little bit on the back half of the race. But I know that it's worth it, because there's so much speed to be had on the front half when you still have big packs to be in, that it's worth it to work hard and get in those packs.
Yep.
Once we hit Sager Road, everything gets blown to bits, and you come out of Sager and it's onesies, twosies, threesies. So the big pack of 20 that I was rolling up the pavement, the rollers on the pavement for a while, that's all blown apart. And then the whole back half is just like either me working by myself and looking for opportunities of other people to work with, even if it's for a short bit of time. And sometimes I overstretched a little bit to try to stay with something that was moving a little bit faster than I needed to. And then I had to just let it go. And there were a couple moments I just had to sit up and just be like, oh, wow, I'm hurting here. But then like 30 seconds later, I felt kind of recovered enough to really dig in again. So end of the day, I had a really good race. I had absolutely no idea where I was going to be in the finish. I had no aspirations to anything this year at all. I mean, it's always nice if you hit the podium, but I'd come to a place of acceptance of not really being where I would normally expect myself to be this year or this time of year or whatever's going on. And I just had a lot of fun racing my bike. And I just raced from that place and just raced my bike and ended up third in my age group. So
Nice.
I was super happy about that.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
honestly, I wasn't really expecting such a great performance. And it turns out I almost had an identical performance to last year. I was within 1 minute of last year's time. And, if you look at all my data and stuff, it's like, oh, it's like almost identical. And I'm like, well, that's encouraging because I had a really good race last year. So
Nice.
Nice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you will look through the results of the other age groups, even below yours, and
Yeah.
would have been on the podium all the way down to like the 30s.
No, it's weird. They separate the 50-year-old women based. I'm assuming it's based on bucket size. So you have probably a lot of women in the 50 to 53. So that's one grouping, and then 54 to 59 is another grouping, which is mine, and I was third in that. In the 50 to 53s, I think I would have been fourth. In the 45 to 49s, I would have been second.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny how it kind of lays out sometimes. I think I was 32nd overall of all women out of like 300 and some.
Nice.
So, all around pretty happy with that and happy with the day. And most of all, just really had a good time being out there and being with friends and teammates. And
Nice.
Nice. Very good.
Do you want me to go next just so I can do the 36 and get it out of the way?
Sure.
All right.
All right. And your marks, set, go.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It all started 4 years ago when
Okay, so obviously I'm somewhat on the spectrum or something, and I come from a long line of storytellers, so I don't know how to tell a story directly and to the point.
That's
My
your
apologies. Sure. Just who I am.
You have to watch this on YouTube, by the way, because Rob talks with his hands.
I do
Anyway.
too.
Now he's going to be all self-conscious.
No, now I'm going to
He's
do
going
it.
to sit on his. He's going to sit on his hands.
Now I'm going to make gestures that aren't the best. All right, this year, interesting year. I wanted to beat. I think I talked about it last week about my goals. I was 240 last year. I wanted to beat that. I wanted to get to. I was thinking I could get to under 230, and I was thinking 225 to 215 range. Long story short,
No,
I
never say that.
I hit that goal.
There you go.
I had 214 according to my clock, but the overall, because I had to take a leak, added another minute and a half, so I was like 215 something. So I hit that goal, but I had said Andy Sauter put in my head the idea of beating 2 hours, so I was kind of going after that. We had good conditions, but my brain wasn't right in the morning. So yeah, I need to respect the race a little bit more. For us, for me and my wife, it turns into a getaway weekend without the kids, and it's kind of a party, hang out, and spend good time with friends in a different place. It's one of the few times we leave the house and stay overnight, and it's kind of a vacation. So I was more into that than the idea of racing it the next day, and I knew I could just push myself, but I found I pushed, but not as much as I could have. So I feel like I could have done better. I could have been close to your time, in my opinion. I don't know that I would have beat 2 hours, but definitely closer because that was only about 10 minutes off your time, I think.
18.
18?
I was 202.
Yeah, so I was 12 minutes off.
Oh, okay, 12. Sorry.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, my math is bad.
Yeah, you're just an engineer.
Oh boy.
What I found, so I left in wave 3, and what I found was that
Never leave in wave 3.
I'm not going to do wave 3 again. And I think I did wave 3 last year. It was kind of about the same. I was on the front of it, wiggled my way up to near the front at the start, maybe 2 rows back, and enough that I had a clean shot, and I ended up in the front group kind of as we did our first turn. And I think we were very quickly rolling into the back of wave 2. And it just, I don't know. I had slow ass people coming this way towards me the whole day. and I had a few faster people going away from me the whole day. So all I know is it was a mass of humanity for my entire race, to the point where there was a lot of, if you go there, you'll notice they got a lot of signs toward in certain areas that say, slow racers stay right. Everyone ignores that, or everyone takes it personally and decides that they're not the slow racer. I'm here to tell you, you probably are, including me most of the time, because I found my way over to the right as much as I could. I was jammed up. There were riders going, line to line, pretty much the whole way. And, sitting there in their flat bars on mountain bikes, just kind of cruising on the pavement and, taking their sweet ass time. And I had to do a lot of, hey, coming through the middle, and running. I did a lot of passing on the right because there's so many people pushed so far over. I don't understand what goes on in the mind to do that. But that's what a lot of people were doing. I did climb most of the climbs in the big ring, like I wanted to. I think I only got in the small ring a handful of times.
Does your course hit the hill?
Which one?
The super duper duper.
The wall?
Yeah, the wall.
Yes.
The wall.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The wall. Okay.
We hit the wall. I want to say just before we come back with the 18s. Like the 18s come into us.
Okay.
So like maybe 12 miles from the finish, 10, 12 miles from the finish, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, it's definitely closer to it's in maybe 3/4 or more through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm, fighting traffic, do what I can, climbing in the big ring for most of it. I did get in the small ring for the wall. One or two others I got in the small. I did Sager in the small ring. Came up on Sager way earlier than I thought I would. For some reason, I thought it was later on in the race. The race went extremely quickly for me in my mind. It took a lot less time to cover distances. And I could have, because of that, I just never got into that race mode because there were so many people and there were so many people moving back and forward that I wasn't with anybody. There was no groups for me to ride with. And it seemed like even the people that were nearly matched to me, where you'd yo-yo with them, they were yo-yoing massively, and not like by a little bit, like, hey, just jump on my wheel and we'll do this. They would go completely off, in front, and then they would go completely back like they grabbed a lead anchor. I didn't understand it, but there weren't a lot of people. I think I was around a lot of people that are more into just completing it fast for themselves. And so they were kind of doing their own thing and they ride on their own a lot. So there wasn't a lot of group think too much of it.
Right.
We came up on Sager, and by God, I looked up, and it was what I usually find is it's a massive humanity. It was a massive, massive humanity when I got to it this time. It was two solid lines of nose to buttholes the whole way, and almost all of them walking. And I rode almost all of it. I got pushed off at one point by somebody else that wrecked. And I ran like 3 feet through the middle and then jumped back on the bike, and I was good. But stayed on the bike the rest of it. At the very end, just as I'm coming off onto the pavement, I found a soft spot of sand and had to finesse my way through it with some body English. And the guy next to me was like, that was a damn good save, So I'm like, okay, so I got that going for me. I get done. I look at my numbers, and I'll talk about it afterwards. But then finishing out, it's fine. Got in the last, I'd say 8 miles or so, and I really started to clock it and go in at it. And especially when you get off of the last dirt segments, which are the ones that we do our pre-ride on Friday, I start to recognize those, and I'm like, all right, and I can start to taste it, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So I was kind of dumping everything else I had. By the time I got to the pavement, it was surfing every group that I could, coming up through everybody, and I got some good speeds through to the end. Enough that in the finishing straight, I had people coming backwards at me really fast, and I want to think that they're the 18s that were finishing. But yeah, so I got done. Good time for me. I look at the segment times and everything. I improved my overall time by about a half an hour. That being said, my Sager road time was 2 minutes slower. So there's something. It wasn't just my impression. There was something to it this year that was just.
It's all the traffic.
It was worse traffic this year.
That's
enough that I know that I need to go to Wave 2 if not wave
You
one.
should start in wave one.
I don't know.
Just
man.
start in the middle of wave one. You'll get sucked along. You have, like I told you earlier, you have enough. You'll have enough. Enough of people in front of you that will just pull you along. You'll have enough fitness to where you can hang with it. It doesn't take a ton of fitness to just get pulled along.
No, yeah, that's right.
And then once you get almost to Sager or to wherever the point that the 36 starts to break itself apart, if it's before Sager, you'll still be in a good position. But wave 3 is not going to do you any justice.
Wave 3, was not the right choice for me, for sure, for what I wanted to do. So, I mean, I have no problem starting in one, but I just, I feel like people are going to be a little bit snippy in one.
The only thing, you know what you do then? Start towards the back of wave 1 and let wave 2 come up and get pulled along with them. But the only thing you'll have to get used to or have to deal with in a wave 1 is the chaos.
Yeah.
If you're up towards the front, it's nuts. People are going everywhere. You're just getting hit in the sunglasses, in the teeth, on the bike with rocks. It could be a little stressful. So try wave 2 next year.
But and I'm fine with that. I just, when there's collisions and a lot of touching and everything, where we're starting, it's with people that aren't comfortable with it.
90% of the people in the fields aren't comfortable with it.
It's just a different feel. It's just like, God, guys, I don't know. I think they should be comfortable with it. But that's kind of how my race went. So I did hit the goals that I had, and I already have goals for next year.
What are those?
To break 2 hours. If I can break 2 hours, I want to break 2 hours. I think I can get close.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just focus on improving, because the problem with BRiX
is
one
vote for not going to happen.
No, because I don't like setting time goals with BRiX because it's so
the conditions could
dependent on conditions.
Yeah. And
so
I acknowledge that. That.
Well, I think that's where you change. You have okay, I want to break 2 hours, but it's the conditions are shitty and muddy and sandy and whatever. So then you have to go 2.5.
Yeah. Which I can understand.
The chances of getting the same weather exactly the next year,
3 years in a row, basically,
is pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 50-50 at this point.
I get it. It all depends on whether or not how they change their date too. If they move the date.
I think what's bigger is how you get through the winter.
Yeah.
That's the biggest concern.
I didn't get through the winter well this year, but I loaded up on earlier season races. So I had way more quote unquote racing in me going into it this year. Barry was, Rough Road was my first race last year. But I had never done it before, so I didn't race it hard. This year I raced it hard, got a good result. All I got to say though is that everybody that I had beaten in Rough Road the week before got in that 204 to 206 range. So they were almost a good 10 minutes faster than me. So something was different about how I was racing it. And almost all of them started in wave 2. So I think that had something to do with it.
Yeah, part of it's the wave start, and part of it was a little too much fun the night before.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. So anyway, that's my race report. Was that under 20 minutes?
Throw it out the window, buddy.
Yes, it was under 20 minutes.
It was 12 minutes. Good job, Rob. Proud of you.
Way to go, Rob.
All right, now you get to fill the rest of it.
Oh, jeez. What do you? 62 miles. It's the quintessential. It's in my opinion the event that everyone or all the hitters I would say show up for, or all the eager the hitters or the young crowd that wants to start a gravel career start with the 62 because it's going to be the faster one, just because it's a shorter distance and it has a faster field. I think. Now I'm not taking anything away from the other fields. Nothing on the 100 field. There's specialists that come out for that one as well, and all the other fields as well. But I think in the past, what I've come to know is the 62 is like the premier event there. That said, I lined up and I had a moment of panic because I was doing everything right. I pre-rode, took the days in leading up to the event, how I thought they should go, and they went well. And warming up in the morning, got suited up, kitted up, ready to go. Had plenty of time, and I was riding around, and I looked at my watch, and it was like 10 o'clock. And then I took a look at the starting line, and it was deep, and I was like, uh-oh. So I made my way over. A half hour I had to sit there. So I got like, I don't know, I was probably like 6th row back in the 62, and then it filled in after that. And
It
I was
felt like staging was way
I was
earlier
like, I
this year.
can't believe I have to sit here for 30 minutes.
I was in line for 30
I
minutes.
was like, this is where I need to buy a set of rollers and just kick it on the side of the curb. Just do that for a half hour. But that said, you know, the whistle goes off, and if you're smart, you can make your way to the front. There's enough of a lead in to the Three Sisters, to proper gravel to make your way up. I mean, everyone's got the same agenda. It's to move up before, you know, we hit the Three Sisters. So I managed to do all that, got in a good position. Made it over the Three Sisters real easy. You know, was getting pulled along by the faster groups. Legs felt good, head was good. You know, I was making the right calls as far as what side of the road to be on, not getting caught up in a lot of people's mistakes or people making bad moves. So I got through all the initial stages of that quite well. And I think, you know, you come off the Three Sisters, right? You feed into the tarmac, that one little quick section, and then you go back into the gravel, right?
Yeah.
Probably Pothole City.
Yeah, but probably another mile down from that, there was a massive crash. It exists on YouTube. Like, someone has it on YouTube. I don't know whose channel it is, but I've watched it a couple times, and I caught it out of it was on the left side, and I was directly across from it on the right side, and I caught it with my peripheral, and I was like, wow, that seemed really bad. I mean, yard sale. Like 6 people just boom. I think Julie said she saw the ambulance cooking down whatever road the Three Sisters is on. Anyway, so dodged that bullet, and in the 62, it's always a race to Shaw Road. I know you guys don't get to race Shaw Road. Shaw Road is like 2 miles long, so it's really long, double track, heavily, super bumpy, lots and lots and lots of sand, a little bit of climbing in there. So it's a very difficult section, and it's always a race to that. So
when do you hit that? At what point?
I think it's
12
like
miles
between mile 11, 10.
So early.
Yeah. Shaw Road and Sager come boom back to back. Like, you hit Shaw Road at like anywhere between 10 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get off that, you're on a long tarmac stretch for a while that loops you back around. You know, you have some gravel in between, loops you back around to Sager. So that's at like 10, 11, 12 miles, Shaw Road is. And then Sager's at like 16, I think, comes at least in our race. In the 62, it comes at mile 16. So they happen relatively quickly, and those are the difference makers. That's where everything breaks up. And people's ability to control their bikes goes out the window just because of the terrain. And then when you get off of Shaw Road, it's a gigantic like road climb. So it's just like you experienced, it's ones and twos. And, you know, if you're having a hard time climbing, people will come up to you and you can latch onto them, and you can make your way up. And eventually after that, I found myself in the second group on the road. You know, the race kind of split apart, and a considerable group went up the road on Shaw, and then after that, and I found myself in a good cohesive group that steadily built in riders as we came off of Shaw and we're making our way to Sager. And after Sager, you know, it ballooned back up to I don't know. After that, we were probably in a group of 20 to 25 guys just motoring along. Everything was going good. Like, everyone was rotating well, or at least half the pack was rotating well. I took my pulls, didn't exhaust myself. I felt like, you know, my mind was in a good place. My legs were good. Like, I'm like, okay, everything's checking out. Like, all the boxes are being checked. And then coming off of a hill, we do there's a bottom loop that we kind of double back on. We do that loop, and right when we were starting that loop, coming down a hill, we hit a lot of braking bumps, and right as I made the turn and went to pedal, my chain fell off. So sitting, you know, top 5 in that group. No, actually I was leading around that corner, and I went to pedal and it fell off. So I threw my hand up quickly on the side of the road and was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. But got it on super fast. Like I don't even think I was off my bike for 10 seconds. I've had a lot of practice putting my chain on. My chain seems to fall off a lot. I don't know if I'm starting to think it's my fault. Anyway, and I got it back on, and the field wasn't too far away. I could still see them, and I was like, okay, you got to go all in to get at least back to the tail end. And it was just one of those things where, they're just motoring along in a giant group, and now I'm solo. There's no one behind. There's no one in front. There's no one falling off the group, and I'm in a headwind. So for the better part of almost 10 miles, I'm chasing, and it just never. They were there, and then after a series of big like little kickers, they disappeared, and I was like, all right, that's that. Stayed in the efforts to maintain a positive attitude, and in that situation I think you have to, because it's real easy for all the negativity to creep in, and that's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. So managed to stay positive in that respect, and probably with 6 or 7 miles to go, I took a glance over my shoulder and realized, like, oh man, there's a gigantic group coming up. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just stay at it and put myself in a position where I don't give them the opportunity to blow by me to where I can't latch on. Because at this point, I'm like, I've damn near burned up all the matches I have trying to chase back into this group. I don't want to get caught and then spit out the back of this group. So I got to a point where they caught me on a downhill, so it was very easy for me to filter back in, and I just kind of like went to the back of that group, assessed who was in it, kind of was like, okay, who's really hurting, who's faking it, and tried to see where I could, maybe have some opportunity within that group. And then it all stayed together. You do the last little couple climbs, the last little bit of gravel, and then it filters back with that, 2 miles to go once you're on pavement, and everyone gets like a breath of life, because, okay, all the gravel's over. We're almost there. Let's pretend we're all sprinters now and sit in a large group, which, you're in a large group of what is maybe 15 to 20 people, and half of them are dead. Half of them you don't know who they are or or what they have left in the tank. You only know how you feel, unless a few people you can physically tell are like dead. And
Mm-hmm.
by the end of an event, you can tell who's got some left in the tank and who doesn't. And there was a huge surge by some kids taking the right hand corner onto Green Street, and then it just broke up from there. And you're for one, you're trying to latch onto wheels to get pulled up. If people are coming from behind you, you're trying to manage everyone that's finishing other distances.
Yeah.
So you're really like, you're on the wrong side of the road. You're breaking the yellow line rule. You're weaving it out, and it can be really dangerous. So I just kind of was like, I'm not gonna risk anything here, but I'm not gonna
Give it away.
lay down and die here. And I managed to get I don't know what I got, maybe second or third out of that group, and I don't know. I still don't even know what I got overall.
I was looking up the results, and I had everybody up. Give me a second.
I have no idea. I ended up getting third in my age group, which is okay. I'm all right with. But the real bummer is the drop chain, and I think had that not happened, things would have been a lot different.
Yeah, you got 45th overall out of
Boo.
1,000.
Ugh.
You got 45th in your gender. So in other words, everybody who finished in front of you was a male.
Yeah.
You got second in your category.
Third. Podium was third.
According to this, you got second.
No, because the dude in second, I don't know. Me and the guy in fourth actually tied. I don't know how that is, but there's someone that, because when Darcy was looking at the results, she told me I got second.
Yeah.
And then she refreshed it, and then there was a dude that popped up.
Literally just pulled it.
I wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't trust that, because the official results had me in third. I literally have a third place BRiX medal.
No, I know. I mean, I saw your podium.
So, I mean, yeah, you did. I mean, takeaways. I'll take it. It's a very competitive event. That field is very competitive, and the reality is, I'm a year older. That field is gotten, on average, I would say younger, faster, stronger. There's all these things. I am proud of the fact that I didn't have a meltdown when the chain fell off. I gave it my best to chase back in. I did everything right in the build up to it as far as training myself. So I'm proud of the fact that I still know how to do that for myself. I dug myself into a huge hole physically with CTL and training and everything. And I progressed my way out of it in a way that was comfortable and I didn't stress out about. So, I mean, everything minus the chain drop, everything went as I had planned it to go.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, you can't.
I mean,
Nice.
it's bike racing. Shit happens. Mechanicals happen.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those things where it's on me. Where the chain keeper was sitting in my car, and I never put it on.
Yeah.
Darcy's like, "Why don't you try to connect with Rob and have him put it on?"
I could have put it on.
And I was like, "We're here in our Airbnb. It's 5:00. I'm not driving 45 minutes to the venue to find Rob to have him work." I'm just like,
I would have done it.
I know, but I would have been back at my Airbnb at 10:00. I'm not doing that, and I'm not gonna say, "Hey Rob, can you come up to my Airbnb an hour away from you?"
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have done that.
I just risked it. And I think what I notice is happening is every time I'm in. Now, granted, for those of you listening, I'm on a 1x system. Okay, derailleur, Shimano 1x system. Have a clutch on the back. It was on. I think when it's in a high gear in the cassette, meaning like 10
Large cog.
No, like
okay.
10 or 11.
Yep.
And going pedaling fast, and then I stop. There's always some kick. Because I've noticed it. I've paid attention to
That's
it.
a free hub.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was thinking it might be the free hub, because every time I stop, the top of the chain gets a little slack.
Yeah,
it's a free hub.
That's free hub.
It gets slacked.
Yep.
And as I replayed the scenario in my brain, I was in that same style of gear, getting ready to take a corner. I coasted, hit a bunch of braking bumps simultaneously, and it popped off.
That'll jump it.
It kicked it off the front.
Yeah, for sure. That'll jump it. That's your free hub driver.
Okay, so
you just need to
service
service it.
that. Okay, I was wondering. I'm like, the clutch is on. And every time I stop, it goes and it
clutch only handles the bottom.
Right, and it's the top that's where all the slack is coming from.
Yeah, no, we can fix that.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, like I said, good effort. Wish it was a little better. I would have loved to have seen what it could have been, but it's not meant to be.
I'm trying to point this out to Leah here. I have your results up, and you did the 44-mile split in 2:03. So you did the 44 miles quicker than Leah did her whole race, by 1 minute.
Yeah, I averaged.
So that's eight miles. You did 8 miles less at the same time.
I think
and you beat me.
You
averaged 21 according to this.
Yeah, a little under 22. My computer said like 21.8 or something like that, which is cool.
Just nuts. Average.
I think. What was I like?
I think I averaged 15.
I think I was like
18 or 16.
280 something normalized.
Nice.
I don't know.
Keep talking amongst yourselves. I just, for shits and giggles, I want to see what my normalized was.
I think when I look at that stuff, it's like cool, but it really, to me, in the back of my mind, is like, doesn't really mean much. I know people freak out on what's your watts per kilo, bro, and what are you doing? Da da da. Like,
but what was your watts per kilo, bro?
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
That's usually like almost 4 for me. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I don't obsess about that stuff. I know that, even if you don't put out a lot of power, if you're going faster, guess what? You're going to beat whoever puts out more power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's more variables than just watts per kilogram.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had that discussion with somebody on a forum not too long ago. They all thought I was an idiot for talking about watts per kilo on some domestic pros that I've worked with over the years, and they're like, there's no way they're a domestic pro with their FTP at that Wasp. And I'm like, I could be off on their FTP being that, but I know that some of these guys, they would tell me what they were averaging for 1 hour races,
Yeah.
in races where they did really well or ended up on the podium. And it was way lower than what I think a lot of people would realize.
Yeah.
So-
I think for efforts like this, thinking back to even like some of the BWRs and stuff that I've done, it's right in that same range.
Yeah.
It's like where I sit comfortably.
Mhm.
Well, my average power apparently was 167. My normalized was 211, which wasn't too bad, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I mean,
for me,
you gotta understand. There's a lot of coasting there,
a lot of coasting.
and even if you are pedaling going down some of those steep hills, you're not putting out a lot of power.
No.
But you're hauling ass.
You're hauling. I kept going, man, why? How do I was doing the math while I was riding, and I was going, how do I finish this in the kind of time that I've been finishing it, let alone what I'm shooting for? Because I don't ride even that distance at that speed normally when I'm riding hard. Something's got to, it's all these downhills.
Yeah, it's the terrain you're on. Yeah,
Yeah.
You go slow on the uphill,
But
you
man,
go
you
2 to 3 times
fly.
faster
Yeah.
downhill.
Multiple times I saw 30 plus.
And there's quite a bit of downhill at Barrie where you can really carry your speed, and it's long sustained.
My
stuff.
max, I ended up getting 36.6. Keep in mind, I'm behind so many people that
Yeah.
I never once was able to just let it go.
Yeah. Since we're for those
we're
of you,
all pulling out
for
our-
those of you not watching, we're all
on our pocket computers.
On our cell phones, trying to have a pissing contest with our data.
It's not much to piss about on my end. Speed 36.9. I got 36.6. So you beat me by 0.3 mile an hour.
Okay, what is Barrie here?
What was your normalized? 179.
Barrie was on the 12.
Yes, I got you by 20 watts or 30 watts.
And how much more than me do you weigh?
Yeah, and you beat me by 12 minutes.
What was it?
Okay, so that was my thing coming into the season. I took a half an hour off of my time.
42 miles an hour
Nice.
max.
Yeah.
So you only doubled your average?
Yeah, that suck.
I took a lot of time off of my overall time. I looked through my files, kind of see what was going on. My overall fitness was, according to Training Peaks, I was slightly higher, almost exactly the same as this time last year. What was different was, even with the slight weight gain right now, I'm still like 12 pounds below where I was last year.
Yeah.
So that made a major difference going over everything. Not that anybody should be focused on their weight, but turns out weight does make a difference.
No, there's a lot of things that make a difference. I mean, is your bike setup optimized for you as a rider?
No.
Like, are you fit well on it? Are
No.
you, there's so many.
Are these actual questions?
No,
The
I'm
answer's
just
gonna
saying
be
there's not just like the day and the terrain and the weather, but like,
if there's any big, fitting gurus in the Chicagoland area that actually listen to this and want to get their name out, we should probably talk. Because I could use a good fit right now.
I haven't been fit in almost 10 years.
It's been 13 years for me, I think.
But it's like, it's
We've
so
had this
expensive.
conversation, Rob.
Yeah.
You just need to
Bite the bullet.
I just need
it.
to go and do it.
Yeah.
I know
go
that.
do it.
But I need a good source, I
They're-
mean,
they're out
we have
there.
the one that you like to use. I wouldn't mind using her. Very hard to get a hold of and schedule, and she's in the city. So it's kind of hard for me to do. It'd be one thing if it was like, okay, I know this time block is scheduled. That's when I'm going.
You just need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important, especially as you age, I think.
Yeah.
Because your body is just constantly changing. It's not like, and you wake up after a long day on the bike and you have certain injuries or things hurt more now than they did 5 years ago.
I have repeating problems that started last year and have continued, and it has to do with this shoulder, and it's kind of under middle of the back to under the shoulder blade, and it makes my whole neck all the way up the side hurt so bad after being on the bike for a long while that I can't really turn and look to the
That's
right.
definitely something in your setup, for sure.
You're a very you have
I'm
just like
hunched.
you have a twist to you when you ride a bike.
I do this.
You're very uneven.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
And
the
I know that.
spiral twist thing. So
And it's like you know why though? You ever seen a really high horsepower car when it revs and the whole engine twists? It's
right,
that kind of thing.
that's what it is. It's totally what it is.
You serious, Clark?
All right, maybe I need a fit.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
There's no maybe. I know I need a fit, but whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's Barry.
Do we want to talk about Perry?
What's there to talk
I don't know,
about?
there's not much to talk about.
I don't know.
I didn't.
Did it live up to the hype?
I was going to watch the entire thing in the house before we left that next morning, but somebody took off and took the coffee with her.
Oh my gosh! Maybe you should wake up earlier than a 16-year-old.
I
woke up at
I would agree with that.
7:30, 7 or 7:30.
I did
Which
not
was
leave
6
the
o'clock our
house
time.
until
Dude.
8:20.
My entire car was packed, and I was on the road at 7:20.
We weren't in a hurry to go home.
Well, yeah,
So-
that's probably from the night before,
No, just
the
It's-
post race.
when we go home, we got to pick up kids, and
I was awake at like 5 a.m. So I went
Well,
downstairs.
we've already
and had
covered this. It's because you're an
coffee.
octogenarian.
Yeah, I sleep like a normal human, 7 to 8 hours, and I don't stay up until 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
didn't stay up till-
teenagers do.
I was in bed early that night.
Okay, early 10.
11.
It was like between 8 and 10, because that's when I got the hiccups real bad, and then I started cramping real bad.
Yeah, you were like gone long
Yeah.
before I went to bed
Yeah.
because you had the hiccups. You couldn't get rid of them. So I went kayaking with Melissa. We went because the house that we're at is on Bristol Lake, and they have kayaks.
Dowling? You guys staying
Yeah.
Dowling?
Yes.
So this is now at least 3, if not 4 years. Now it's become a little bit of a tradition. Is that I get out on the lake and do a little paddling, and it was nice to go out there with a friend this year. So,
Nice.
It's such a beautiful area, and it really reminds me of where I grew up, because I grew up in
Pennsylvania.
Lake Holiday. For people that don't know where that is, it is between it's near Somonauk Sandwich, Illinois, which is about 50 miles
East
west
of Buttfuck.
here. Well,
Yep.
no, of my house in Western Springs. So so it's not that far from here, actually. It's like an hour drive, maybe.
Sandwich.
But anyway, I mean, it just reminded me of that, because it was just kind of, everybody is they got their lakefront properties, but it's not, some of the houses are really nice, and some of them are just like super basic, and everybody's, set up to, sit there and build bonfire on the shore, or they got their docks or whatever.
Dude, there's
and-
houses that are just
yeah.
huge
Yeah.
and
There's
gorgeous.
huge
with-
houses, and then there's
and then
little,
there's
like,
little shacks, yeah.
and it's just kind of a very rural feel to it.
I'll take a
and-
shack.
Yeah, I don't mind the shack.
But the water is crisp and clean, and I don't know if it gets full of algae in the late summer like Holiday does, but I mean, it seems like it's very
Nice.
well freshwater fed.
It's
Nice.
That's why I said we like going there. Julie and I like going there. It is like a little vacation.
Yeah.
So the goal is to spend a lot of time there and hang out. So we're not in a hurry to run away. So I didn't see the end of Roubaix this year.
I watched it in the car. Yes, I watched it while I was driving.
I would have watched it in the car, but
I
was driving.
listened to it. I had the video playing while I was driving and just kind of listening to it.
It's probably a little
occasionally
anticlimactic once Pogacar crashed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's like I knew that my guess was Van der Poel, Poggi, and Mads. And I was like those
Yeah.
three, and ended up being those three
Yeah.
at the podium. So and then Mads,
saw that
Mads got a
selection.
flat, and then Poggi crashed. But got back up. But that was the determining factor of the race, which is a little bit of a bummer, because I would have liked to have seen them cleanly get to go to the finish without mechanicals. And I get it, it's Roubaix.
But we know how it would have finished.
Where did Van der Poel flat? I saw
close to.
Was it
He
close
was
to
he
there?
was solo by
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
And his car was like literally right on his tail when it
Yeah.
happened. So
Yeah.
he got a bike super fast.
Yeah, I saw the change. It was very quick.
Yeah, no. Mads, I
What
think when Mads got his flat, I think the cars weren't quite
Okay.
shuffled through
Okay.
enough to have his car right there.
It's hard to get up, especially through
Yeah.
there for those guys. What I thought was great was hearing Vanderpool talk about when he did that bike change, he lost his computer because computer was on the main bike. And he goes, I wish I had a file for the end. He goes, because the amount of power I felt like I was putting down, I wish I had that on record.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to
yeah.
think that a guy like that knows knows his sensations at the end of the race and how much power
Yeah.
that translates into. But it could conversely work against him. He could feel like he's putting through
Yeah.
2,000 watts through the pedals and only be doing 400.
Yeah. But he said, he goes, I think it was the highest power output I've ever had in a race.
I would imagine. I saw something on social media where he's grabbing a gel or something, and is one of the Rudolph brothers or one of his team owners was driving the car, and he's screaming at him, and Vanderpool's screaming back at him like, I'm fucking dead.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. Imagine that. I can't pedal anymore.
I can't imagine. I mean, I saw the selection. I saw when the attacks were happening, and when it turned into those three, I kind of already knew how it was going to finish.
I mean,
I don't feel like I missed anything.
Fastest Roubaix ever.
Do you think the team didn't even tell him what was going on? Because he says that he didn't even know what the gap was. He didn't know how close or far away that Poggi was behind him, and he just. So I'm like, the team car had to know, because if nothing else, they're probably watching live feed. So they
probably
didn't even tell him.
Better not to tell him.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell him.
Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
If you got a rider like that, that's going to win, and is going that hard, you've always got okay. There was a situation that I had during. It's bad to lead off with I identify with this. Obviously, it's not the same, but there was a situation that I ran into during Intelli one time, and it was with one of our racers in the women's 2-3 race, and she was off the front, and I was giving her time splits, and she was chasing up, or either she was out the front or she was chasing onto somebody, and there was somebody up the road, and I used I basically said, she's sitting up, she's not going hard. Now, we're in a unique era when it comes to giving any opinions about anything going on with that particular race during that time frame. There was somebody sitting there at the time who is now a woman, a female pro, who was talking and it was like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And she is not sitting up. And you obviously don't know shit about women's racing and that kind of thing. And I just bit my tongue, because it was like, if you don't know how to talk to a fucking racer, you tell them that when they're about ready to fucking crack, and you can tell they're about ready to edge off, you tell them, the person you're chasing just sat up. You need to close it now. And they're going to keep at it and put it on for another couple laps. And guess what happened? They kept at it and put it on for another couple laps. So I don't know, it's one of those things where in the same kind of situation, if I was on a team and directing somebody like that, I wouldn't give them a split at all. I'd just be like, you've got to stay on it. You've got to stay on it.
I think that's probably, Vanderpool could probably read the tone.
Yeah.
And know, like, if it was a 6-minute gap.
If he had more than one brain cell functioning at that point.
Yeah, you got it. Like, it wouldn't be so urgent.
Yeah.
But Poggi, I didn't watch it real time or any of the replays, but the sense of urgency was obviously there, so Poggi couldn't have been that far behind, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't give that guy any slack.
Mm-mm. Anyway. Yeah, no, it was a good race. I enjoyed watching. I didn't watch the entire women's race because it was the same day we were racing at Roubaix, but I did skip through it and picked up the highlights, and
PFP.
It was really watching Pauline.
She's awesome.
She's just like, I'm going to attack to help my teammate and helping her take the pressure off of Mariana Voss, and then ends up just they just let her go, and all kind of looking at each other like, what? She stayed.
I mean, Voss is boss, but PvP is the boss at everything.
And then at one point, watching a lot of Kopecky bury herself just trying to be like, all right, shit, and then end up dropping herself because she tried to fix their misjudgment of the situation.
That's
and
what I would do.
It was
hey, you have the rainbow jersey. It's your opportunity. It's your obligation to chase us down.
All right.
Yeah, everybody's sitting on wheels going, you gonna go?
Don't you have like 6 Olympic medals? You should.
I would really go if I were you.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I saw a funny meme the other day from I don't know, one of the females on I think it was from Allison Faulkner. She's like, today it's a 6-hour training ride. It's similar to men's racing. Long, boring, and predictable. I laughed my ass off. I was like, that's spot on.
Very true.
There you go.
Yeah.
Man, that is thunder. It is really kind of coming down.
It's storming. It's Bataki off here.
I didn't think it was supposed to rain today, but apparently it was. We did have a power outage earlier, but it was brief. But speaking of which, and we're 1:10 in, we're basically at end time anyway. So here's my obligatory do your part. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, please share it with people. Go like us, share, leave a review, whatever. The more people that know about it, the more enjoy it. And believe it or not, a lot of people do enjoy it. We do get a lot of good comments from a lot of people when we show up at places. And I got to watch what I say because people hold me to it in real life.
Yeah, I saw one of our YouTube episodes or episodes on YouTube had almost like 80 views when I watched it. I was like, wow,
there's some
we're gaining some traction.
There's some that have quite a few views that get up there, but in general, it doesn't. It's always a fraction of the people that actually listen to it, and a lot of people listen to it outside this area.
My teeth before.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I never. You actually care. You actually put forethought into. Oh, are we recording today? And then sometimes you feel you dress a certain way because we are recording. And me, I never think about it.
Well, I mean, sometimes I basically roll in here in my pajamas or whatever. I sweated in this morning because I'm lazy.
Yeah,
so.
I'm the same way, and I look at that. I look that way in normal life, so I guess people know what I look like anyway. So I guess I'm presenting my true self. You are too. I'm not saying you're not. Anyway, I'm going to get out of that one. Do your part, share the podcast. Go ahead and leave us a review. Share with your friends, and also go out and get some buttonhole chamois cream. It's available at every fine bicycle retailer. If not, ask for it by name, and we will get it taken care of. You can always buy it. There's other places you can buy it. You can find those quickly. But once again, buttonhole chamois cream. Drop us a line with any comments, questions, anything else like that at roadisdead, all one word, roadisdead@gmail.com. I should probably go get the roadisdead, all one word, @gmail.com as an email address as well too.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody misunderstands me and thinks
possibility. Anything can happen
in there. All right. Well, thanks for listening and enjoy the ride.
Bye.